Hi, this is Derek. I'm going to do a review today of the Star Wars complete series, complete Saga collection on Blu-ray. Picked this up last Friday when it first came out. Had a good look at it over the next few days, and still looking at it right now actually. And just thought I'd give some of my thoughts on it. Do a little review. I guess you can't really talk about it without mentioning the further changes that George Lucas made to the original Star Wars trilogy. What, blinking Ewoks? Oh, that's outrageous, right? So how dare he? How dare George Lucas do that, right? Well, yeah, I mean it has been kind of controversial, this release. Well, at least as controversial as it can get in the internet geek community, which I suppose I'm a member. But yeah, I mean it's no secret that George Lucas has kind of had a fall from grace, a steadily increasing fall from grace over last like 2 decades or so. Before 1997, the guy was he was a god. But then those special editions came out of the movies, and he made alterations to them, and it was kind of like, that's strange. Well, whatever he wants to do, I guess. But then the prequels came, and there was disappointment there. People were like, really? That's all you had? That was your grand vision for all these years? And then the 2004 DVDs came along, like the first time that the Star Wars movies came to DVD. And there's like, at that point it was like, George, are you not taking your meds, man? Are you alright? Like, there's that kind of reaction to it. So finally we do have the Blu-ray set, which the good news and I suppose the bad news is that, at least in my opinion, that the worst changes, they've already been made. I mean, the worst is behind it. The worst damage that has been done. And, there are further changes, but the damage has been done already. So I can understand why some people were really, really kind of pissed off that, one, there's more changes. Two, the original versions, the uncut version, the unaltered versions are not available on the format, which people want. There is a demand for it. So I was really excited for it. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take this over nothing, for sure. I'll take the altered versions, no problem. But by the same notion, I can kind of understand why some people have kind of had enough. They've bought the VHSs, the remastered VHSs, the special edition VHSs, the DVDs, and then the DVDs that included the unaltered versions that were only in widescreen, but not anamorphic widescreen, which that was a dick move, by the way. So I can understand why someone would be like, I've had enough. I don't want to give George Lucas any more of my money. I can understand that, but at the same time, it's Star Wars. Come on, it'd be like kind of like the equivalent of like pouting because you don't get exactly your way, and then you're missing out on something cool. And this is something cool that I'm very happy to have watched these movies. This is the first time that all 6 movies are in the same set, all packaged together, and I'm sure you've seen like a million other videos where somebody like puts it in front of the screen and shows you all the pictures. Ooh, Darth Maul. Ooh, whatever that was. Ooh, Legend of the Sith. Ooh, blah 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 blah. You know that. You've seen it. I mean, I don't need. What is this? Boba Fett on a dragon or something. But yeah. So with those alterations that were made, the further alterations, like I said, the worst changes have been made, like adding Jabba in, and then Han not shooting first, Greedo shooting first, and then them shooting at the same time, or whatever the hell they've done with that. And the worst, absolute worst, was one, changing Boba Fett's voice, which was stupid, and two, adding in Hayden Christensen to the end of Return of the Jedi, which everyone hates. And whenever you watch that, you're like, George Lucas. But again, I'll take it, because essentially they still are the same movies, which is great. And I love these movies. They're really cool. They're great movies. I mean, the first 3 movies, they're pretty much some of the finest movies ever made, like classics for our time. Like they're unmatched. Like they're Star Wars, and then there's everything else, right? And then the prequels come along, and I think since George Lucas did provide those great, masterful, brilliant, endlessly amazing worship movies, I mean, the fact that he couldn't do it again should we really be mad at them for that, or just trying to enjoy them for what they are? I'm kind of in the group of people who do enjoy them for what they are, and I do really like all the prequels. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, and they all have worth to them, in my opinion, and I just don't love them in the same way. But that shouldn't affect my opinion of them. They're still Star Wars, but they're not as good. I mean, that's just fact, basic fact. They're not as good, and well, with that, I mean, you now have the choice with this spiffy new set to watch all of them, and you can decide, well, do you want to do them in order, or do you want to watch the original trilogy and then the new trilogy? And in my opinion, I think that the original trilogy should be watched first. I think they should be watched in the order in which they're made. Well, preferably. I mean, of course, you can watch it however you want. I mean, but let's say any Star Wars fan, like my generation of Star Wars fan, we just kind of missed the boat on the first outing of Star Wars. But we're kind of like, at least people my age in their 20s right now, kind of like the special edition Star Wars fans. I guess that's all we have to be, because I saw special editions in theaters. That was my introduction to Star Wars, and so we're now faced with kind of a choice. We have, like anybody, let's say, who had a kid after 2005, they're now faced with the choice that, okay, if they're going to introduce these movies to their kids, do they show them the original trilogy first, or do they show them the prequels, launch them in order? And if it were me, original trilogy first, man, totally. I mean, no question. But if you've already seen them a million times, I'm sure most Star Wars fans have seen them at least 8 billion times over and over. Then you can watch them in any order you want, depending on your mood. And that's the thing about the Star Wars movies. Even though the prequels aren't as good, there is kind of there's a grand story, of course, and then there is the overall story at its core. I mean, it really is a story of a father and son. Really, you have Luke and you have Anakin, and there is kind of a symmetry to both stories, because each of them, they're thrust into these amazing, fantastical worlds, and they discover things about themselves. They do have this inner ability, this inner gift, and they are special, and they're faced with certain choices, do you do the right thing, go towards the good side, or to the bad side for all power and rising your status in the universe, or whichever. And both those series, they have different outcomes. So Luke chooses the good way and saves the day and everything, but Anakin's story, as we all know, isn't as happy. And so, but it's neat to see the outcome of both those stories, and the symmetry there. I mean, it's pounded into your head, especially with this set. I mean, look, it's it's the faded out image of Luke, and you have little Annie there as well, and they really drive it home with this set, and that is what and I really like this image here, by the way. This is a really nice image. So you have both Luke and Anakin in their spaceships, and they're flying around and stuff. So it's a father and son, and in a weird way, it kind of reminds me of The Godfather Part 2, where it's switching back and forth between Michael Corleone and Vito Corleone. So the same can be done with Star Wars. So you watch one story first, and then you kind of overlap them, or whichever you want to do. So basically it's up to you how you want to watch them, and they're good movies. They all have something good about them that I like. Probably the worst one, in my opinion, which a lot of people share this opinion, is Attack of the Clones. Isn't as good, but still, even the very worst Star Wars movie, I think there's some worth to it. So they're all good movies, and that's that. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm sure people fucking hate the prequels and hate the changes that George Lucas is making to these movies, and they're boycotting their release, which I do understand. But at the same time, Star Wars, so cool. But yeah, another thing I should probably mention, the transfers. I mean, this is Blu-ray, so this is a big deal. This is we have a slightly different version of these movies now, the old trilogy at least. Well, some alterations were made to the prequels as well. So slightly new versions on a slightly new medium. So we had DVD, we have Blu-ray. Who the hell knows what's next, by the way? But now this is the best quality that you can view them in. And the Blu-rays, they all do look fantastic. Like the original trilogy, oh my god, it looks fantastic. It looks like almost like they're made today, which is high praise. Like, and they didn't like DNR it up. They didn't fuck around, which I really do appreciate. So anybody who's saying why is Darth Vader saying no at the end of Return of the Jedi, at least you can see him and he's not blurry and looks like a mannequin, a wax figure or something like that. But there was actually a little bit of DNR for The Phantom Menace, which I did notice, because that was actually the only prequel that was filmed with film. The other two were digital, so the other two look a lot better. The first of the prequels doesn't look quite as good because they tried to match some continuity, at least visually. Another thing they tried to match was Yoda, which they put in CGI this time, which he was originally a puppet, and the puppet actually looks terrible. By the way, if you watch Phantom Menace and you see that puppet, it's worse than what they did in 1980. It was embarrassing. Like, I'm glad they fixed that. But yeah, I mean, definitely high praise for the transfers. They all look amazing on Blu-ray and widescreen, and oh man, so cool. I mean, even if you hate the prequels, you can't really deny that they look really good. And now at least the original trilogy looks as crisp and almost as neat as the new movies. So that's great. And I guess a final thing about the set would be, of course, the special features, which actually I'm actually a little bit disappointed in the special features for this Blu-ray, because they had a lot of other features on, like, the DVDs. They had all these documentaries. Like, they had a really good documentary on the making of Phantom Menace, if you want to subject yourself to 2-3 hours of seeing George Lucas getting blown by all his subordinates. So there's that, but I did like it. And there was the whole Empire of Dreams documentary, kind of a definitive documentary on the original trilogy, which is full of great interviews and behind the scenes footage, and was fantastic. Fortunately, none of that is on the Blu-rays, and we do have documentaries. There's original making of documentaries. There's a documentary specifically about Star Wars fans who like dress up and do charity events in like stormtrooper outfits, and that was really cool. And there's a whole showcase of spoofs. Like, they've collected a lot of clips from TV shows and movies and YouTube clips actually of Star Wars spoofs that runs like almost 2 hours, like maybe like 97 minutes, I think the runtime is. So that was impressive that they put all that together. It's really good. But in kind of the archival discs where they have the making ofs, I think it was a little bit lacking. And like, you put in the DVD, you're expecting to see some cool stuff, and then like you open it up, it's like, okay, you can select episode 1, 2, 3. Okay, so how about I want to see how they made 3, and then you go there, and then it takes you to the main menu of episode 3, and then it shows that you can select different planets. It's like, okay, Coruscant, click, and then it shows a little video, and then blah blah blah, looks like you're flying to the planet, whatever, and then you're like, okay, photo galleries, I don't want that. Deleted scenes, can I only view the deleted scenes that took place on Coruscant? Okay, and interviews, okay, cool, interviews, oh, Samuel L. Jackson interview, maybe not, next interview, oh, okay, there's only one interview, okay, that makes sense, and then you, like, go to the other part, maybe there's more there, and then it shows you another little video, and then you're running around in circles, like, what is this, what's going on? There's not really that many special features, and yeah, I do realize that you can go to the very main menu and select to play all, so you can play all the deleted scenes and play all the interviews, etc., but still, it's kind of lacking, I thought. In my opinion, it's lacking. Like, it could have been more definitive, which it's not quite. So there's probably going to be another set. So maybe they'll release the original uncut, unaltered versions, or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be another format that's going to be like super duper Blu-ray that we don't know about yet. That'll have more features. So for this, I mean, movies look great. I'm fine with the altered versions. I'll live with them. I don't care. They're still Star Wars. They're still the movies I love. People who say that like they're unrecognizable, they're just being a little bit over dramatic, I have to say. So, take it for what it is. I really enjoyed this set. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. You could have replaced like everything with CGI. Just imagine. They had the technology to replace Puppet Yoda with CGI Yoda in Phantom Menace. They could have done it to Empire. Just think about that. The next time you're complaining about Obi-Wan's dragon call that they've altered, like, come on, who cares? at the end of the day, it's still Star Wars, still a great series of movies, even the prequels, and, you know, I liked it. You know. So that's it. That's my general impression. A really good set, really worth it. And actually, they when I got it at Best Buy, they actually included a free T-shirt, which is really cool. I don't know, I can't see my own screen, but oh, it's like relive every moment or something like that. Well, that's it. So thank you very much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.